a pattern that can work perfectly in the US or in the European markets might completely fail elsewhere in an emerging market.
How should success be measured differently when designing for an emerging market?
We as product designers, we need to, unlearn a lot of assumptions that we already take for granted.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Tech Way podcast, where we have real conversations with people building, shaping, and redefining the tech space. I am your host, Anoluwamepo Idowu, and today's episode is an exciting one. It is very, very interesting, especially for designers and anyone that is interested in building solutions that actually works in the real world context. We'll be discussing about designing for emerging markets, solving problems at scale. It's a conversation around what it really means to design for environment with its own unique constraints. And joining me today is a professional, a product designer. She's a professional product designer with over 5 years of experience working across industries like the health tech, reg tech, mobility, B2B, and SaaS. Jecinta has spent a career turning complex challenges into simple, scalable digital solutions, and she's also passionate about mentoring and supporting the next generation of designers. Jecinta Fabiyi, you are very, very welcome to the Tech Way podcast.
Thank you so much, Anu, for having me. I'm happy to be here.
You're welcome. It's so exciting.
Thank you.
To get you on this podcast was a hassle. Thank you for making it easy for us. And we've been watching your work. We've been saying that you've been doing so many things in the industry, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to have you right here on this podcast. And thank you for honoring that invitation.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so without wasting much of our time, I'd like, I already told you about the topic, but we are getting right into it, and we are sure that you are the best person to answer these questions. But first and foremost, we always like to know how people that are already making impact, or they are scaling, or they are working and making this kind of strides in the industry, how they got into the industry. And so would like to ask, Jecinta, how did you get into the tech ecosystem, and most especially, what drove you into deciding the fact that you want to be a product designer?
All right, thank you very much, Anu, for that question. So to answer your question, basically, my journey into product design started shortly after I graduated uni, right? Around that time, I had a friend who was already into product design, and watching them work was, genuinely fascinating for me, right? It opened my eyes to a whole new world, which was filled with curiosity into how every screen, every button, or every interaction had a reason or had a purpose, right? And learning through that experience made me really curious about what happens behind the scene when building a digital product, and also how this product, impact people's everyday lives. And I started paying more attention to the apps, the platforms, products that I was using at that time, and I found myself, constantly wondering how they were made rather, and also how they could in turn be better, right? And that curiosity quickly, turned into a desire for me to want to learn more, to understand how design could be used to solve, real everyday problems, and also improve user experiences. And so that's what inspired me to take that leap, and also to start my journey into product design. And today I've had the opportunity to work on a wide range of impactful digital products across diverse industries, like you mentioned earlier, from reg tech to mobility to digital healthcare. And through these experiences, I've learned to design with empathy, to navigate the real world constraints, and also to create solutions that meet the needs of users.
Amazing. That's such an
Yeah,
impactful and such a passionate way to enter into the industry. I like that.
so
Now,
much.
you know that our topic is designing for emerging markets and solving
Mhm.
problems at scale. Now,
Yeah.
so our first question is, what does it even mean to design for emerging markets, especially from a designer's perspective?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a very interesting question, and I like that. You're starting with that because first we need to even understand what it means to design for emerging markets, right? But first off, I'd like to explain what the emerging market refers to because a lot of people might not really understand the term. So emerging market refers to like a country or a region that is developing economically or technologically, right? So it's not yet considered fully developed yet. So that's like an emerging market. And what it means to design for that market, it means that you're understanding that the users in the emerging markets, they often interact with technology very differently, right, from users in more developed markets. And you are designing for people who may have, for example, limited internet access, people who use shared devices, people who have inconsistent power supply, and are very different, and they have very different economic and cultural realities, right, from people in maybe like global markets. So instead of assuming that they have access to fast internet, their own personal laptops or devices, or that they have unlimited data, you design experiences that are flexible for them. And that could mean like that you're optimizing for like low bandwidth, or making the design flow simple and easy for them to use, or ensuring that the products will still work well even with their low-end mobile devices, right? So it's more about the context, more about people in emerging markets that they may be new to certain technologies, or they may be cautious about trust, about data, and things like that. And that basically changes how we design things in general. So yeah, in a nutshell, designing for emerging markets is building products that is inclusive and also useful, and product that work in real life for real people.
Oh, nice, nice. While you were talking, something came to me. So I said, or I thought about it. How do emerging markets actually challenge traditional approach, most especially for product designs?
Yeah, okay. So to answer the question, I think the biggest way that these emerging markets are challenging the traditional product design is that we as product designers, we need to, unlearn a lot of assumptions that we already take for granted. So what do I mean by this? So traditional product design, right, especially what many of us designers are used to, we can often assume that, okay, this certain region, they have stable internet, they have their own personal device, they have consistent power, right? And also it's very easy for you to just predict how a user would behave or the user behavior. But in many emerging markets, none of these things, are guaranteed or are set in stone. All right. So the ideal user journey that we are used to designing for might not just exist in the same way. Right. So for example, in emerging markets, users might be sharing one phone or one mobile device across a family, where they are switching SIM cards, they are dealing with data scarcity, or they are going offline multiple times a day, right? And that alone can completely change how we think about things like onboarding, authentication, notification. So yeah, it also challenges the idea that best practices in design are universal, which is not the case, right? Because a pattern that can work perfectly in the US or in the European markets might completely fail elsewhere in an emerging market, right? And it's not because the users don't understand the product, but it's because it doesn't well align with their realities or their economic or their cultural realities, right? So instead of asking yourself when you're designing if it's following the best practice, you should actually start asking if the design actually works for the people that are living, in that region. Yeah. So yeah, in all of this, I believe emerging market, they don't just, challenge the traditional product design. It basically also expands it for us to see realities of other people and how they also live. Yeah.
Yes. So another thing, like you said, you are building for diverse markets, even if it's an emerging market, and it is very difficult. I might not say difficult. It's quite challenging to now say, okay, what you are building is a success or not. Your ability to be able to scale or to be able to measure your success, it's quite. You have to be very conscious about it. So I would like to ask, how should success be measured differently when designing for an emerging market?
So I think that's also a very interesting question, because in everything that we design as product designers, we also need to understand how well it's doing with the users, what impact it's giving these users. So for measuring success in emerging markets, we also need to think beyond or measure beyond just growth metrics like number of downloads or sign-ups, right? I mean, those numbers still matter, but they don't really tell like the full story, right? Because in many emerging markets, I feel success should be about access or usability, or the sustained value that the users get from the product over time, right? So for example, are people able to use the product consistently, right, despite having those issues that they have, like limited data, on power, unstable power, or shared devices that that could be a problem, right? Are they coming back because the product genuinely helped them, right? All those kind of questions, or not just because they were pushed through maybe marketing or some form of acquisition, right? Another important metric is also problem resolution, right? So that's where you get to ask yourself, did the product actually solve the core problem that it was designed for, right? So if a product claims to save time for the people, save money, or save effort for them, so the success should be measured by whether users feel that difference in their daily lives. Right. So I believe in all of this, retention also often matters more, because at the end of the day, when you have a small group of users that use a product every day, right, they can be a very stronger signal of success than just having millions of signups and downloads and then have low engagement or have people leaving. So yeah.
Nice, interesting. Thank you for the answer. That's quite straightforward and precise. I would like to ask, in a bid to succeed in the emerging markets, many product designers seek different ways to provide their successes. Many product designers, let me just get straight to it, avoid or going to unethical practices to avoid these successes. Now, for people that are trying to enter into an emerging market, create products that work and scale, what are their ethical responsibilities? What ethical responsibilities should designers have when they are building to scale in an emerging market?
I think that's also another very interesting question, because in us as designers, we have like certain ethical responsibilities when it comes to designing or building products, right? And for emerging markets, I believe that they also have like a huge ethical responsibility when they are building products for the people there, right? Because their decision can directly affect the people's access to a lot of opportunities like healthcare, education, finance, and things like that. So one responsibility that I believe is that we as designers should, always design with the users, not just for them, right? And that means that they should involve like the voices of the users in terms of like their research, involving them in every step of the way. Also in terms of like testing, user testing, or testing the product in the real environment, the actual environment, right? And acknowledging that there could also be cultural context, to the realities of the way people live, instead of imposing the external values of, the global standards that we're already used to. I believe that's one ethical responsibility that designers owe the users, to design with them and not just for them.
Oh, great. Thank you for pointing that out, because we have come across many products that at the end of the day you wonder, did they actually go through the ethical process? Did the designers actually have their ethical antennas working while they were doing this? Okay, so another thing, because the emerging market is ever evolving, it is developing like we know it to be. It is not stagnant. Your product, when you provide a product, definitely it is another avenue for the users to develop. It is another avenue for the community itself to grow. But you know that as the community is growing, the market is growing, the people and the users are growing, that means that the skill of the product designers should not remain constant, right? They have to be able to harness and strive to get better skills to be able to keep up with the emerging market and succeed. So I would like to ask, what skill will future product designers need to succeed in emerging markets, even as they grow and the emerging markets are growing?
Yes, I think that's true. Like as emerging markets evolves, I believe product designers should also, evolve in terms of like their skills as well. And I think one of the skills that should keep evolving is for them to have strong research and listening skills. Those are, I believe, those are non-negotiable, right? And not just formal research, but also the ability to be able to observe the user behavior, for them to be able to ask the right questions and truly understand the user's, context. And also that's where empathy also comes into play, right? Putting themselves in the shoes of the users. So I believe designers that can actually take their time to do this research and also learn from it, gather the insight and solve actual problems for the users, I believe they'll always do better than those who just rush into the solution without research. Another future skill I believe I believe designers should also have is collaboration skill, and I believe this is also very crucial, right? When you're designing for emerging markets, it requires that you have this kind of deep partnership with your cross-functional teams, with engineers, with product managers, even the local teams as well, right? So we as designers also need to be very comfortable in influencing our decisions, explaining our trade-offs, and also advocating for our users as well. And lastly, another very important one is the technical empathy, right? It doesn't mean that. So when I say technical, it doesn't mean designers need to code, right? But they just need to understand device limitation and how their design decision can affect build complexity of products, right? Because in emerging markets, they can be, like we mentioned, slow to low connectivity, right? And that's when designers have to think about design technicalities if they need to represent a design with just explainable text. Versus including an image that might take years to load on the device, right? So knowing when to make a small design choice, that can affect or significantly affect the user is also a very huge advantage. So those skills are very key and important.
Oh, nice, thank you. And I hope many product designers take heed to what you said. Now, the emerging market is ever changing. It's not Nigeria is developing. We are still considered a developing country, and it is ever growing, and there are other countries like that are ever growing. It's from emerging markets to developed markets. Now, what do you think the future of product design will be like in the next 10 years? 10 years is even too far. 5 to 10 years. What do you think the emerging market will look like for product designers?
So I believe the future is promising, right? It's incredibly promising. And and also I believe a lot of the most interesting innovations can still come from emerging markets, right? So over the next 5 to 10 years, I believe we will see products, that far more context aware, right? That are also designed from ground up for like the local realities, rather than just us adapting like the global templates, right? And that means that we would have, faster, more resilient products that will work well on low-end devices, like we've mentioned, on stable internet, and also across a wide range of user literacy levels, meaning that regardless of your literacy level, you'll be able to also take part in using technology, right? Yeah, so I believe those that's where I see it in the next 5 to 10 years.
So the future is bright.
Yeah, very bright.
Okay, so another question that I would love to ask is that what advice, because you are a passionate product designer, you love to design for impactful products, and this is one of the things that we saw about you and we decided, we have to have Jecinta on the Tech Way podcast. Now, what advice would you give to designers who are passionate about solving meaningful problems at scale? They are passionate about making sure that these problems are solved at scale.
Yeah, so for a designer who wants to solve meaningful problem at scale, my first piece of advice would be that they should always start with the people. All right, always start with the users, the people, and not just the trends. I mean, to scale sounds very exciting, right? But it only matters. Yes, it only matters if what you are scaling actually improves the lives, of the people that you are designing it for, right? So they should take the time to understand the everyday challenges of the people that they are designing for, their routines, their frustrations, their limitations, their context, all of that, right? Also, they should also iterate with empathy, right? So they should test their product in actual real environment with these actual people, with the actual users, and they should listen deeply to their feedback and change directions based on those feedback that they've gotten, right? Also, they should always think beyond metrics. So when I say metrics in this regard, they shouldn't just chase numbers, numbers of downloads, numbers of signups, right? They should measure if the product is genuinely helping the people, right? If people trust it, if it's solving their problem, if it's making a difference in their lives, right? I believe that's how design can, become very meaningful. And lastly, they should be patient when they are building solutions, because scaling can also take time and it can take persistence as well, right? So it's very easy to say you want quick wins, right? Because they can be very tempting, but at the end of the day, having that lasting impact is the real goal. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. That is a very, very, especially when you mentioned patience, because some of us we really want to see the success work, want to see success in play quickly. Okay, so one last question, and this is across board. Right. Now, what advice? I used to say, what would you have loved that someone told you when you wanted to enter into the tech space? And now I'm even streamlining it. What advice would you have loved it that someone told you when you were about to enter into the tech space and even decide to go into product designing? What advice would you tell someone that is watching this right now and is willing to go into product designing?
So you asking that question really got me thinking back memory lane, like, it's true, if I actually had this kind of advice, I believe I would I would have scaled more in my career as well. And also that's why I also mentor designers, right? Emerging designers, so that they don't also make the same mistakes I made when I started out. So first thing first is, I would say they should always put themselves out there. I know some people might think that, I'm just starting out, I don't have the best design, my designs are not polished, I don't think I know a lot. But if you put yourself out there, for people who can see your work, they can give feedback. You don't know who is watching. And also they should also be consistent and persistent with that. They should also get like a mentor to learn from, someone that is also far ahead in the journey. Like I mentioned earlier, those mistakes that they made earlier, you wouldn't have to make them, right? Because they are mentoring you, they are guiding you, supporting you the best way that they can. Also, they should also try to be part of a community, right? Community really, really helps. They share resources, they help each other grow. You can learn from each other. And yeah, I think those are like the major ones I can remember, right now. Maybe if I think of anyone I remember again, I can, send them with you and you can share along the podcast. Yeah, but yeah.
Thank you, Jecinta, for that beautiful, beautiful round of yes. Having a community is one way to actually scale and to grow, even when you enter the tech space, even if you are not a product designer. Thank you, Jecinta Fabiyi. We really appreciate your presence on the Tech Way podcast. Okay, we have come to the end of today's episode, and we discussed designing for emerging markets, solving problems at scale. Very interesting, very, very interesting. So if you enjoyed this episode till this moment and you're still here, you're still watching us, do it to like, subscribe, and even share this podcast channel. Share the podcast channel to your friends, to someone that is looking to go into the tech space, someone that is also willing to grow, and most especially for this episode, a product designer. I remain your host, Anu Oluwamepo. Turn on your notification bell so that next time when we have our episode published and posted, you'll be the first to know. Turn on that notification bell. It does not bite. Subscribe. It does not bite. Till next time. Bye.